Hello viewers, welcome to our episode number 3 of how to create a 2D game with Unity 3D. In the previous episode, we learned how to slice sprite sheet, how to create animation with the animator tool of Unity 3D engine, and also we have learned to change the layout of our engine. In today's lesson, we will learn about physics, rigid body, how to detect collision, and we will create our main game environment. We'll create a box room and our bird will flap inside that box, like you have seen in the first video where I demonstrate the simulation of my game. Okay. So let's get started. In the previous episode, we have created only the bluebird animation, and I didn't create the green bird and red bird. I skipped that for you. This is a practice lesson for you. I have created my animation. You can see in a green bird. In similar way, there are 3 clips: idle and dead. I have arranged my animation in folders: green bird animation, red bird animation. They all have the same parameters: flap and die. Green bird has flap and die, same transition state as the bluebird. We will be needing only one bird. So I am gonna disable the other 2 birds and take the only blue bird here. Let's set the position to 0 0, the project. Actually, we are going to save this 2 game object in a folder named Prefabs. Prefabs is a very brilliant and efficient way to save your game objects. You do not have to do anything extra for it. Excuse me. You cannot take them multiple. We have to take the game objects one by one. So you may have a question that why we have to save our game objects. Because we need to instantiate our game objects in various situations, and which game objects to respawn or which game objects are static. Normally the static game objects do not need to respawn, but the dynamic game objects need to be saved in the prefabs folder. From the code we will call these game objects, we will save a reference of these game objects, and we will instantiate or respawn the objects in the game scene. Now if we delete everything from our scene and drag the bluebird here, you will see that every component is as was it is. So I think you have got the idea of prefab. For the time being, I have to disable, and we'll enable the camera. Our game is a portrait game, and you can see a box around the camera. This is the viewport. This is the viewport of our game, or the scene we will be seeing in the mobile screen, and you can get a preview of your scene from here. Or if you go there, game, we'll select, there are various aspects, we'll take the 16:10 portrait. This is a viewport. This means the objects inside this box will be shown in the screen. The outside objects will not be shown in the screen. So now let's create a background. We'll simply drag and drop the background here. You can see our image has a bird outside our viewport, camera viewport. This is a good practice to take some portion outside of the viewport for safety measures. If you do not have, let me demonstrate for you. Let's take it here. You can see here our image is inside the viewport and it is short of length, so the user will see the game screen like this. So this is a bit awkward. So it is a good practice to take some portion of our image outside of the viewport. So this is our background. We will be needing walls, roof and floor for our excuse me, box Flappy Bird. So this is, take the wall, it's too lengthy. Let's make it 0. Scale it to 0.5, and we can change the position from here. We can drag and drop, we can rotate from here, we can scale our objects with these or these things. I will be needing the coordinate tool. So reset everything. So let's the position set to 0, 0. So I will make it the scale to 0.5. And after saving the scene, our wall has been disappeared. Well, it is not disappeared, it has gone under the background image. So here comes the new tool, new item called sorting layer. Every sprite or every component, sprite component, has a sorting layer. We will create our own sorting layer. Unity set the sorting layer to default. We can create our own sorting layer by here. Go to new, add new layer. We have our background layer. We will have our wall layer. Okay, now we'll set the sorting layer to wall, and the background will have a sorting layer of background. Now we drag, so we're seeing the wall in the scene. We'll set this position. Let's make this scale to 0.5. Let's make it -3. -3 is looking pretty good. We will hit Ctrl D in your keyboard to duplicate the item, and this will be our right wall. Name it +3. We can rename it as left wall. Rename it to right wall. We need a roof, we need a floor. And again Ctrl D. We are making roof. Rotate the wall to 90 degree. Let's take it to up position. Let's make it 5. Set the X position to 0. make it Control D. As this is +5, so the floor will be at -5. So this is it. Rename it to roof, rename it to floor. In the hierarchy panel, this is a good practice to arrange your object with empty objects. We'll create an empty object, call it environment, set the position to 0 0, and group them under this game object. Always group your game objects in one empty object. This is a very good practice, because in a large game or in a big game there will be hundreds of game objects in a scene. You can't control them by ungrouping them. You have to group them to control the objects, and obviously set the position to 0 of the parent, position to 0 0, otherwise their position will be changed. We have our environment. So now we activate our bird, and we can't see any bird in the scene. Again, this is a question of sorting layer. So we have a background sorting layer, we have a wall sorting layer. We will be needing another sorting layer named bird. Set the sorting layer to bird. Now we can see our bird here. So we are good to go with our environment. Our basic environment has been set up. Our bird is inside the box. Now we will learn about physics, rigid body, and collision. Let's select our bluebird. Select the bluebird. Go to add component, physics 2D. We need rigid body 2D. The rigid body 2D component has many attributes. We will learn the attributes step by step in the whole journey of our Unity Android game development course. For now, I am just saying about the mass, the gravity scale, and the constraints. If you set the gravity scale to 0, the gravity won't work anymore. And if you set the value to 1, it will act as a gravity. It will act on the gravitational force. So let's check this. Excuse me. So you can see our bird is falling down. Our bird is falling down because of the gravity. Now if we set the gravity scale to 0, the bird will stay put. And do not forget to hit apply, because our bluebird is a prefab. You can see attribute here, prefab. Select revert apply. Do not forget to hit the apply every change you have made to your prefab. For example, after adding the rigid body, you delete. You don't hit the apply button and delete your game object. Now drag and drop the bird here. See, there is no rigid body 2D component attached to it because you forgot to hit the apply button. Now we hit the apply button, and this will be also applied to our prefab here. we will be needing a circle collider for detecting collision here. Apply. Now I zoom in the bird here. You can see a green outline. This is our collider. We are taking a circle collider for it. We can edit our collider here. The radius is 0.505. Let's make it 0.4. This will be good enough. Let's make it 0.42. This will be good. Okay, you can also set the offset value X and Y. Okay. So our offset is a very pretty cool stuff here. Hit the apply button. So our bird has a collider. In the environment, the walls need also collider to detect collision. We will add box collider. You can see Unity 3D engine automatically detects the area and set the box collider to my left wall. We need physics 2D, box collider 2D, in the roof, physics 2D, box collider 2D, floor, physics 2D, box collider 2D. Now let's run our game. See, our bird has been stuck in with the floor because the floor has a box collider. Our bird has a rigid body and circle collider. This is an important thing. Please note down or keep in mind that for detecting collision between two game objects, one of the game objects at least must contain the rigid body 2D component. I am repeating it again. If you want to detect collision of two game objects, one of the objects must have the rigid body component or rigid body 2D component. Now we will see another thing. Collider has attribute is trigger. If you check the is trigger attribute, our bird will work as a trigger. What is a trigger? Trigger will not detect any collision or stuck our bird to the floor. If we don't, we need to pass through a game object and also detect collision. Then you have to check the is trigger option. So in our game, is trigger won't be needed. We'll hit apply and our work is done here. Similarly, you add the rigid body 2D component and circle collider to our green bird and your red bird. This is it, viewers. We will learn in the next tutorial or next episode how to fly our bird or trigger our animation with code. In short, we will write our first script in C#. Thank you for watching our video. Please do subscribe to our channel Unity Android Game Development. Do not forget to like, share and comment. If you do not understand anything or any part of my tutorial, please do comment. We will respond as soon as possible.